When was the last time you laughed till your belly hurt? When was the last time you allowed yourself to just feel the simple pleasures of life, like the grass under your feet? Every day is an opportunity for you to love on yourself by feeling joy. Did you know that one of the most searched questions on Google is, how do I learn to love myself? And I'll challenge you to try it out for yourself. Open up a Google search bar and type in, how do I learn to? And I'll bet good money that somewhere very high up on that list, if not the top result, is learn to love myself. And so how is it we've ended up in this place where we're literally turning to Google to help us figure out one of the most, if not the most important relationships of our lives? It's because so many of us were never taught how to love ourselves. In fact, for many of us, we're taught the opposite. We were taught that loving yourself was egotistical. It was, being full of yourself. It was maybe even narcissistic. And yet, when you think about our base needs as human beings, one of the most important needs we have is love. And we often think about it in terms of giving love to other people. Rarely do we think about it in terms of giving love to ourselves. There's a wonderful quote from Anita Moorjani in her book, Dying to Be Me, where she says, how can you give to somebody else what you cannot give to yourself? And so when it comes to self-love, how do we learn to love ourselves? I want to share with you 8 reflections, 8 points that I think are foundational to creating your self-love relationship. But I want to add a disclaimer here. Your self-love relationship is as unique as your fingerprint. Each one of us defines self-love differently. And ultimately, your role, your job is to find out for you what self-love means and what that looks like and what that feels like in your life. But I'll share with you my 8 points, 8 reflections on what I think might be a foundation for you to start to enable your self-love relationship. The first is forgiveness. There's a wonderful quote from Archbishop Desmond Tutu where he says, until we forgive, we remain locked in our pain and locked out of the possibility of experiencing healing and freedom, and locked out of the possibility of being at peace. And so forgiveness really starts with forgiving others, forgiving all of those who played a role in your life in making you feel less than, making you feel that you were not worthy of being loved, making you feel that you were not the special human being that you know you are. And for many of the people who did that, it was unintentional. It was through their own limitations, their own challenges. And that is where you need to start, is forgiving them, realizing that they did the best that they knew how with what they knew, and that it is time for you to stop being held prisoner by their thoughts, their beliefs, the things that they imparted on you that made you feel less than. As Dr. Bruce Lipton said, for many of us, our beliefs are programmed into us by the time we're 7 years old. So as children, all of the things that happen, whether they're through our caregivers, our parents, or teachers, where we're made to feel less than, are recorded in our subconscious mind. And that then becomes the tape that plays over and over again, the lens through which we go through life, believing that we are less than. And so I want to invite you to make the first step of your self-love journey forgiving. Forgiving anybody and everybody who's ever made you feel less than, who's ever made you feel like you didn't deserve to be loved, that you were not worthy of love. The other important part of forgiveness is forgiving ourselves, which sometimes can actually be the most challenging part of forgiveness. Because all too often we hold on to the pain and the anger and all of the things about the things that we did, that we failed to do. It's very hard for us to forgive ourselves because oftentimes too, we think that, well, if I forgive myself, am I letting myself off the hook? But as the quote from Desmond Tutu says, you're locking yourself out of the possibility of experiencing healing and freedom. And so, what do you need to forgive on your journey to truly loving yourself? So, step one being forgiveness. Step two, in my mind, is compassion and grace. And there's a wonderful quote from Frank Ostasecky, and he says, "We need to see how the habit of constant self-judgment diminishes our life force, steals our inner peace, and crushes our souls." Diminishes our life force, steals our peace, crushes our souls. Self-compassion is really about acceptance. Can I accept all the parts of me? Can I have grace for all the parts of me? Can I believe that I did the best that I knew how with the tools that I had at that time, and that is okay, and that I can choose to make a different choice in the future? It's about allowing yourself the grace to make mistakes, to fail, to stumble, and to know that it's okay. And through being compassionate and having grace with ourselves, making the decision to use everything that happens in our life as an opportunity to learn and as an opportunity to grow. And so self-love really is about, can I be kind to myself? Can I be compassionate with myself? Can I show myself the same level of grace that I would show to somebody else, to a friend? So the second part of your self-love journey is compassion. Where do you need to show yourself more compassion? Where do you need to show yourself more grace? Where do you need to be kind to yourself? And this is compassion, grace, kindness in the words that you speak, but also the thoughts that you think about yourself. And so step two is compassion and grace. Step three, in my mind, is about self-integrity. Holding yourself to the things that you say you will do. Doing the things that you say you will do when you say you will do them. And oftentimes, it's so much easier for us to be in integrity to the things that we promise other people, but not so much to the things that we promise ourselves. And here's a powerful quote that I want to share with you. It's from Michael Jensen. And he says, "By failing to honor our word to ourselves, not only do we undermine ourselves as people of integrity, but we diminish who we are as a person." And so every single time that you fail to honor your word to yourself, you're diminishing yourself. You're losing trust in yourself. You lose faith in yourself and your abilities. And so a huge part of self-love is, can I honor my word to myself? What is it that I'm committing to? And only committing to things that I know I can hold myself in integrity for. Only committing to the things that truly I know I can honor. But also, and this is a wonderful thing that Michael Jensen talks about, is self-integrity is also realizing that sometimes there really are circumstances where you can't honor your word, where you can't do the things that you committed to. And what he says is that in those situations, it's about recognizing that, acknowledging that, and then realizing for yourself, what is it that you need to do different? What is it that you need to commit to that'll allow you to continue to be in integrity? So the third thing when it comes to your self-love journey is self-integrity. The fourth is courage. I love this quote from Maya Angelou where she said that courage is the most important of the virtues because without it, you cannot practice any other. And I think that in our journey to really building and increasing our feelings of self-love, it's about having courage. The courage to stand for what it is that allows us to feel loved by ourselves. The courage to establish boundaries, whether that's with other people or boundaries with ourselves even. The courage to say what it is that we want, to ask for what it is that we want. The courage to ask for help. The courage to say when somebody has hurt us. The courage also to be able to look at ourselves and face those parts of ourselves that maybe we don't want to face. Because self-love isn't about just loving the parts that we like. Self-love is about loving all of us, even those deep, dark areas that are difficult for us to look at, those things that make us uncomfortable. That's what self-love is having the courage to stand up for ourselves, having the courage to love ourselves, all of ourselves, and doing whatever it takes to allow us to stand in that place of being able to love ourselves. It's also the courage to feel our emotions. We live in a world that invites us and, in fact, encourages us to numb ourselves from our emotions. We live in a world that wants to be good vibes only, love and light. And yet there is such richness, there is such a depth to allowing ourselves to feel all of the feelings. You cannot know what joy is if you don't know what sadness is. You cannot know what light is without knowing what darkness is. And all too often, because we don't love ourselves, we have this fear that if we allow ourselves to feel the negative emotions, and there are no negative emotions, they're just emotions. If we allow ourselves to feel some of those dense emotions that don't feel good, that we might not be able to come back from that they will consume us. But that is where self-love is required. Knowing and trusting yourself and knowing that you can feel all of the emotions, the full spectrum of emotions, and you will be just fine. And that stems from loving yourself enough to feel all of the emotions, to allow yourself to feel all of the emotions, to process all of the emotions, to go to those places that sometimes are difficult to go to. Courage. Courage is such an important part of our self-love journey. The fifth point that I want to share with you is that self-love is about purpose, finding your purpose, stepping into your purpose. The Buddha said, your purpose in life is to find your purpose and give your whole heart and soul to it. Living a life that is fully expressed, living a life of self-love. That is the purpose of life. And purpose, having purpose, living with purpose, on purpose, is exactly what self-love is. It truly is about allowing yourself to be the best, most fully expressed version of yourself. And that includes figuring out, as the Buddha said, what is my purpose? What is it that I'm here to do? What is the bigger meaning of my life? And allowing that to be a part of your self-love journey. In fact, I truly believe that finding your purpose is one of the greatest acts of self-love. Allowing yourself, as I said, to fully be expressed, to live the greatest version of you through living your purpose, through living your dharma. Why are you here? That is a part of your self-love journey. The sixth thing I'd like to offer is wealth. Yes, money. Money is a part of self-love. And why do I say that? And I think it's best summed up in this beautiful quote from Henry David Thoreau, where he said, wealth is the ability to fully experience life. Wealth is the ability to fully experience life. And isn't that self-love? Being able to fully experience life, to not have limitations on what you can do and when you can do it and how you can do it. And part of that comes from wealth, because we live in a world where, unfortunately, most things cost money. For you to have experiences cost money. For you to go places costs money. For you to find your purpose and to live your purpose costs money. And so self-love is about recognizing, first and foremost, that you are worthy of abundance. You are worthy of infinite abundance. And that is a part of you showing yourself love, stepping into that abundance, allowing yourself to experience that abundance, allowing yourself to fully experience life and allowing yourself to be fully expressed in that journey of experiencing life. Because ultimately, money helps us find freedom. Money helps us have freedom of time, freedom of location, freedom of what it is that we do every single day. It allows us to have the freedom as well to be of service, to help others, to step into our highest and greatest calling of being of service. That is self-love. And so, yes, money, building wealth is a part of your self-love journey. The seventh thing that I'd like to offer is that part of your self-love journey is peace, being able to find peace. And there's a wonderful quote from Norman Vincent Peale that says, "The life of inner peace, being harmonious and without stress, is the easiest type of existence." The life of inner peace, being harmonious and without stress, is the easiest type of existence. Doesn't that sound like self-love? Being able to live an existence that is filled with ease, that is without stress? Isn't that self-love? And so it is truly about being able to be at peace. Now, we don't always get to choose the circumstances of our life. We don't always get to choose what happens. But it's about being able to come back to our center, being able to, regardless of what is happening around us, to find your center and to find your peace, to be at peace. And here's another quote that I love by Ralph Waldo Emerson, where he says, "Nobody can bring you peace but yourself. You are the source of your own peace, just as you are the source of self-love." The eighth thing that I'd like to share with you, the final point that I'd like to share, is that self-love is about allowing ourselves to feel good. All too often we go through life and it's all about the struggle and the grind and the doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And life passes us by. There's a wonderful quote that I think it's a Shakespeare quote that says that, life creeps at this petty pace, that literally we're just going through life and never experiencing joy. And I think all too often we think that, the joy will come when, and we live this life of waiting for when for us to be happy. But what I invite you is to think of self-love as being able to find joy in the everyday. When are you making time for joy? Just as you schedule yourself in your calendar for your exercise or going to the dentist or whatever other appointments that are important to you, where in your calendar are you scheduling joy, fun, enjoying life, living life, truly allowing yourself to live life? Because as Karl Barth says, joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Joy is gratitude. It's gratitude for the life that you have. It's gratitude for the gift of life. And so stop waiting for someday when. Every day, can you schedule moments of joy for you to be almost childlike? What moments? When was the last time you laughed till your belly hurt? When was the last time you allowed yourself to just feel the simple pleasures of life, like the grass under your feet? Every day is an opportunity for you to love on yourself by feeling joy. So those are the 8 things, and I'll recap them really quickly. The first is forgiveness, forgiving others, forgiving yourself. The second is about compassion and grace and kindness. The third is living in self-integrity. Number 4 is all about courage, the courage to choose for ourselves what it is that we want in our lives and to stand firm in that. Number 5 is, as the Buddha said, finding your purpose, making your life mission to find your purpose. Number 6 is wealth, allowing yourself to accept the abundance that the universe has to offer you. Number 7 is peace, living in a place of peace regardless of what is happening around you. And number 8 is all about choosing joy every single day, making time for joy. And I want to close because I've shared so many quotes. I, of course, have to share one more quote. And this quote is from Sam Dillon Finch. And what Sam Dillon Finch says is, self-love is not an endpoint or a destination that we arrive at after some kind of magical epiphany or surgical intervention. It's not a switch that gets flipped on, a product to be assembled, or a finish line that we cross. Instead, it's better to think of self-love as an ongoing process, a skill that we learn, or a muscle that we strengthen over time. Your self-love journey is the journey of a lifetime. As the quote says, there is no endpoint. It is about every single day recommitting to yourself, committing to love yourself because you truly are worthy. You are worthy to be, you are worthy to do, and you're worthy to have anything and everything your heart desires. And that includes loving yourself.